Today is the oldest you've ever been in your life, and the youngest you'll ever be again. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. If you expect the world to be fair with you, because you are fair, you're fooling yourself. That's like expecting the lion not to eat you. Because you didn't eat him, there is a healthy amount of distrust to have in everyone. Nobody's intentions are truly clear, even after being stated. You aren't crazy. You're intelligent. Don't be afraid of a shadow. It just means there's a light nearby. Just because you hate this chapter doesn't mean you'll hate the book. When you try to please everybody, you almost always please nobody. If you wouldn't take advice from them, why would you take criticism? If it can be fixed, why are you complaining? If it can't be fixed, why are you complaining? If you're trying to break a habit, don't say, "This is the last time I'm doing it," to yourself. Instead say, "This is the first time I'm not doing it." A ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. The trouble is you think you have time. People don't think about you as much as you imagine they do. Dead people receive more flowers than the living ones, because regret is stronger than gratitude. You cannot convince people to love you. No one will ever give you love, because you want him or her to. Give it. Real love moves freely in both directions. Don't waste your time on anything else. Life can only be understood backward, but it must be lived forwards. You don't notice your progress in life, because you are always raising the bar. You ruin your life trying to make everyone happy. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. If you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. For the first thought you have, but you are responsible for the second one. Never be so kind you forgot to be clever. And never be so clever you forgot to be kind. Your mind gives up a lot faster than your body. A calm sea will not make you a skilled sailor. Doesn't mean it deserves your attention. Waiting for change while not doing anything for it is like waiting for the train at a bus stop. If you find yourself repeatedly questioning whether or not something is right for you, at some point, unless you let them. A blind man is a poor guide until it gets dark. When you work for someone else, you have the right only to labor. We have 2 lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. Children make so much noise you can't think. But when they leave the house forever, the silence is maddening. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. If you look for the light, you will often find it. But if you look for the dark, you might be the sweetest peach on the tree. But some people just don't like peaches. If all our problems were cards, and we could lay them out on the table, I bet you'd pick your own backup. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is, "Thank you," it will be enough. The bee doesn't waste its time trying to convince the fly that honey is better than shit. Nothing in life that is worth having comes easy. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms. Set of circumstances. It's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life. You're going to make a lot of people mad, doing what's right for you. You can't cross the ocean until you lose sight of the shore. It's easy to fool someone. It's hard to convince them that they've been fooled. Any thought you have about the future is a delusion. Resentment is like taking poison and waiting for the other person to die. There's a lot of things worth caring about. You can either be a negative or positive person in life, but only one will get you somewhere. Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Worrying only means you suffer twice. Be afraid, but do it anyway. It takes a long time to realize how truly miserable you are, and even longer to realize it doesn't have to be that way. You will never remember the days and nights you stay home and do nothing. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it is a quiet voice at the end of the day, saying, "I will try again tomorrow." That mountain you've been carrying, you're only supposed to climb. People often confuse stress with responsibility. Don't cling to a mistake just because you spent a lot of time making it. Someone once told me the meaning of hell. On your last day on the earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become. Quietly work, let success speak up. It is not a lack of time, it is a lack of priority. What would you do if you weren't afraid? There are 2 paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. The days are long, the years are short. Heard this after I had my first kid. Couldn't be more true. The reason you want to be better than someone else is the reason why you aren't. Embrace stress as the opposite of apathy. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around, you could miss it. Everything outside of this moment is just imagination. If you stop seeing the world in terms of what you like and what you dislike, and saw things for what they truly are in themselves, you would find a great deal more peace in your life. If you treat an individual as he is, he will remain how he is. But if you treat him as if he were what he ought to be, and could be, he will become what he ought to be and could be. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Danger is very real, but fear is a choice. We are all the bad guy in someone's story. The only person who's ever gonna remember your hard work is you. Not this company. Not your boss, only you. It's not worth killing yourself over a company. That'll replace you in 2 days, if you're gone. The people who mind don't matter. And the people who matter don't mind. Keep breaking your heart until it opens. Remember when you wanted what you currently have. No expectations, no disappointments. Be the person you needed when you were younger. When you do things right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all. Here for a good time. Not a long time. Feelings are not facts. And 3. In 3 words, I can sum up everything I've learned about life. It goes on. If you are unhappy, you are doing something wrong. This too shall pass. Be not afraid of moving slowly. Be only afraid of standing still. Sometimes a hypocrite is nothing more than a man in the process of changing. The only time you should look into someone else's bowl is to make sure they have enough. Given the choice between being right and being kind, choose kind. Someone's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. The things you own end up owning you. Speak your mind even if your voice shakes. No matter how many times I may stumble, I will rise each time a better man. The most important step a man can take is the next one. It's always the next one. Experience, don't expect experience life. Do not carry expectations on how it should be. A salary is the drug they give you to forget your dreams. One day or day one you decide. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Youth is happy because it has the capacity to see beauty. Anyone who keeps the ability to see beauty never grows old. The past is just a story we tell ourselves. Every person alive hits a crossroads in life. When you have to let go of the past and forge your head into something new. The only sad thing would be clinging to the past once it's out of reach. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Honesty without kindness is brutality. Kindness without honesty is manipulation. They've promised that dreams can come true, but forgot to mention that nightmares are dreams too. Every journey begins with the first step. In order to empathize with someone's experience, you must be willing to believe them as they see it, and not how you imagine their experience to be. Never wrestle with a pig. You both will get dirty, but the pig likes it. Better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Better 50% now than 100% never. Just because you know how it's done doesn't mean it's not magic. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. What God doesn't give to you, you have to go and get for yourself. Success is not the title you have, or how much money you make. If your relationships with friends and family are healthy and thriving, that is a success. There are two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's better to have $480 in a wallet that costs $20 than to have $20 in a wallet that costs $480. If you're not stuck in traffic, you are traffic. It's no use wasting time worrying what other people think about you. No one is thinking about you. You train people how to treat you unconsciously or not. No one raindrop thinks it causes the flood. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. To realize that you are not your thoughts is when you begin to awaken spiritually. The world is a tragedy to those who feel, but a comedy to those who think. You are either part of the problem or part of the solution. Never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity. Don't die until you're done. Fairy tales are more than true. Not because they tell us that dragons exist, but because they tell us that dragons can be beaten. There's no point in being grown up if you can't act a little childish sometimes. Socializing is just like any skill you need to practice before you're good at it. Never go to the past. Not for happiness, not for justification, not for excuses. The world is what it is, you are what you are. Graveyard is full of people who used to think that the world could not run without them. People don't forget, nothing gets forgiven. Things are only impossible until they are not. Just because you got away with a bad decision doesn't make it a good decision. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who was actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood. It's not your fault things are the way they are. If you're going to apologize, you don't say, but after. Either you mean it or you don't. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. There are more things likely to frighten us than to crush us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. It never gets easy, but it gets easier. Fake love is mighty convincing in a world where real love is mighty rare. If you need music on the beach, you're missing the point. We are our choices. Whoever fights can lose. Whoever doesn't fight has already lost. We live longer when we are too busy living. Sometimes which choice you make is not as important as making a choice and committing to it. A denied expectation hurts more than a denied hope, while a fulfilled hope makes us happier than a fulfilled expectation. The point of the argument is not to defeat each other, but to understand each other. Life is 10% what happens to us, and 90% how we react to it. I guess it comes down to a simple choice, really. Get busy living or get busy dying. At first you choose a partner based on appearance, and enjoy it until you realize that your children will be raised not based on appearance, but based on values. No amount of success can compensate for failure at home. If people took back the pain they caused you, you'd lose the strength you gained. The average of 5 is real. If you really want to know someone, look at the 5 people they talk to the most and spend the most time with. Your friends' problems become your problems. The smaller your social circle, the fewer problems you have. Once you realize your value, you will be greatly surprised at what you used to settle for. When you laugh, people laugh with you, and when you cry alone. Just because you miss someone doesn't mean you need them back in your life. Missing is a part of getting over. The magic you are looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Overtrusting, betrayal, masturbation, loss of energy, stress, hair loss, overthinking, depression, saying no, important revenge, ruining your own life, observing, increasing wisdom, forgiving, healing, letting go, peace of mind. You can always earn money. It's not a big deal. Your world is not going to end because you don't have a fixed income. Something else will work out. Every person has 3 faces. Firstly, the one we show to the world and strangers. Secondly, the one we show to family, spouses and close friends. And thirdly, the one we show only to ourselves. Not everything in this world should be your problem. Some things are simply none of your business. Focus on the issues that affect you directly. You will be much happier that way. Rejection is important for self-development. No one has the answer. You're going to spend a lot of time figuring things out. Most people stay in the same place for a reason. The things they hold dear are the anchors that hold them in place. Stop trying to make everyone love you. You need enemies to succeed. Sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but actually you've been planted. The person who cares less has the most power in a relationship. Never sacrifice your progress for a friend. They might not do the same if the tables were turned. The world doesn't care about your potential. Cares about what you've done. You spend all your health initially for wealth, and then you spend all your wealth for one day of good health. Never compare your life with others. They may seem better than you, but they have some problems which are never, ever heard by you. Don't tell anyone what you think or what you know. Keep your secrets to yourself, because a friend of today could be an enemy by tomorrow. Embrace judgment. No matter your outcome, you'll always be judged. So don't live to impress others. Live to impress yourself. Worry is the ultimate bully. It takes everything and gives nothing. Wasting time and regretting, cribbing and crying won't fetch you results. You are right about all the things you think you need to do. Don't wait, get started. If something bothers you, change it. If it is beyond your control, learn to live with it. Accept it, change yourself. That is the only thing you can influence. When you get up in the morning, remember what you promised yourself at night. You spend your first 20 years worrying about what people think about you. You spend your next 20 years swearing that you don't care what people think about you. You spend the next 20 years realizing that they aren't thinking about you. To have what you never had, you have to do what you never did. People will say almost anything when they're happy. Be wise and careful of this one. The world will not treat you better just because you're a good person. Chasing the opposite sex and having temporary relationships, which means nothing but sex, is pointless. What people say when they are angry aren't things they mean. They regret it often. Forgive angry people, it's okay. They are only human. The more people let you down, the easier you'll get back up and realize that life doesn't stop for anyone. You can't litter negativity everywhere and wonder why you have a trashy life. Not everyone will make it to your future. Some people are passing through to teach you life lessons. If you waste money, you can earn it again. If you miss the moment, it can never be returned. Life is unfair, and sometimes good deeds aren't rewarded, and bad deeds aren't punished. Things work out when you least expect them. Life has a funny way of surprising us when we're not looking for it. The ego is not a bad thing, and sometimes we need it in order to achieve our aims and feel vitality. However, the ego is just a tool. We shouldn't let it control us. There will always be someone who is better than you in something. You have to accept that fact and learn from them. That's something that will help you grow. Betrayal never comes from your enemies. The hardest part is at the beginning of the journey. The rocket loses 90% of its fuel during takeoff. A moment of patience in a moment of anger saves from 1,000 minutes of regret. Success is a loner's journey. You must learn to accept loss and make compromises. Putting off until tomorrow is your weakness. You can't always have a good day, but you can always face a bad day with a good attitude. Don't compare yourself to others, because no one can play your role better than you. No work is beneath you. The only thing that should be beneath you is your big ego. Work hard in silence and show your skills at the job you get, rather than criticizing the job. No matter how hard you work, you can't have everything you want eventually. Most of us end up settling in some part of our life. Owning your truth can be hard, but not nearly as hard as spending your life running away from it. Many of the people you told your secret to have already told it to others. There is nothing more important to true growth than realizing that you are not the voice of the mind. You are the one who hears it. People only want to hear the good, not the bad. So if you have issues, it'll be hard to find people to confide in. The walls you build to keep things out are also keeping things in. There are times when you see someone for the last time and don't even realize it. Watch out. You'll never know the true value of the moment until it becomes a memory. Never expect too high. The more you expect when it doesn't meet your expectation, the more it's gonna hurt. The only two people that will never let you down are your parents. Not your wife, not your husband, not your kids, nor your friends. You might regret your speech, but you'll never regret your silence. Learn to let go even if you are right. Life is a boxing game. Defeat is not declared when you fall down. It is declared when you refuse to get up. It is indeed very hard to move on, but once you do, you'll realize it was your best decision. Never make a promise you can't keep. Stop letting other people take advantage of you. Learn to say no and understand your rights. Saying no is important. People don't get offended as much as you think. Never awaken a woman's love with no intention of loving her. When talking to people, look them in the eye and on the face. This will make you more confident in front of others. Find something you love, something you can lean on to, something that would keep you going. You need something to fall back on when you get depressed. Nothing is complicated, not as much as you assume. It's just your mind playing tricks with you. If you get down to it, it's all really simple and clear. Time is your most valuable resource. There are no refunds or second chances for the time you waste. No one in this world will stand up for you like the way your parents do. Always be there for them. In order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. Be impatient with actions, but patient with results. If you're not happy with yourself, you'll never be happy in a relationship. Being lonely and being alone are different things. Overthinking ruins you. It ruins the situation, twists things around, makes you worry about futile questions, and makes everything much worse than it actually is. Most people are a complete waste of time. A lesson never, ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. Don't let people know too much about you. Just trust your instincts, that feelings can sometimes save you from big troubles. You don't get extra marks for putting up with people you dislike. Life is unfair, don't moan, don't complain. Learn to be thick-skinned, make the most of what you can. You don't have to be great to start, but to become great you just have to start. The moment poverty walks in through the door, love and peace toss themselves out of the window. Don't be emotionally attached to anyone. People change. Even your best friends may probably turn into strangers one day. No one cares except you. Do what lifts you up in your eyes. What people say does not matter. Think before you act. You can take a second to do something you haven't properly considered. That isn't a true reflection of your character, and it can undo a lifetime of kindness and generosity. Life gives you lemons, pepper, salt, and sometimes cold water, but they don't come together or in a certain order. So keep struggling until the lemonade is ready. If you can't do it now, you won't do it ever. Regretting won't change your past, and it will end up your future if you continue to do that. Don't make hopes. Hopes will create expectation, and expectation makes you weaker. Some people just won't admit they're wrong. Don't waste time trying to get them to accept it. Passion is super awesome, but it doesn't cure all your problems. Passion can go a long way in your life, but it doesn't mean it's all unicorns and rainbows. You are not unique. There will always be someone else equally attractive, fun and qualified to replace you.